Yo, welcome to Drivewire Radio. This is Carter. I've got Haviah Mighty in house. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I got to tell you, shed a tear at 13th floor.
A tear?
Yeah,
Damn.
I'm not joking. I watched it, like I was into it. And what I think I like the most about what you do is the visuals match so well. Do you do that yourself? Like, how does that happen for you?
No, I definitely don't do the visuals myself. I think it's just tapping in with the right people, and making sure that, I've done the best I can with the audio portion of the song. So when it comes to the visual components, whether it's videos or animations, I think it's important to just tap in with somebody that I feel can kind of embody what it is that I've felt when I created whatever it is that I created, and then can, just kind of internalize what it is that I'm feeling and put it into the visual.
Nice. So like you're connecting with them on an emotional level, and as long as they see what you're seeing.
Yeah, like I think it's like first and foremost me resonating with their art and reaching out to them. Cool. From just seeing what they do, I can sometimes determine like if I want Afrofuturistic or Afrocentric, like I can reach out to certain people that create art that I feel embodies that emotion and things that aren't even mine. And then of course we have that conversation. I let them know like what it is I want to say, what the story is. And, as long as that conversation goes good and I like the art, we can definitely do something together.
Yeah, it's so important. And what I like, I like that you don't do it yourself. I think so many people are trying to focus on doing every single thing that like maybe just getting help is a good thing. Build a team, network.
Yeah, I agree. I used to be a DIY, child. I used to try to do everything myself just due to lack of resources. And I think that, I understand the hustle. I understand trying to get things done and not necessarily having people do it for you. The ability for them to do it for you. So you might just kind of like, have that hunger and you need to do something. I get it. That being said, once you have resources, I think it's important to not pawn off these services, but I think understand when something isn't your expertise. So you can
I love the word pawn off. I love it. like fire yourself from as many things that you're not really good at as fast as you possibly can. You know, I love that. And it's obvious that you're doing that. And I really mean it that I like that. It's showing you're thinking at a level that some artists never actually get to. They just get good at what they do. And then they get bogged down by everything they're not good at. And they don't realize probably someone else would want to do this.
Yep.
So really cool, man. You built a team and that's really smart.
Thanks.
I heard something that I liked a lot, that you started rapping from like videos online of rap battles.
Not videos, but audio. Yeah, that's how it was a site called letsbeef.com where people would do rap battles. And it was more like an audio thing, like upload a minute of you spitting bars and then someone would accept the battle, the challenge, and basically spit back. I wouldn't say that's where I learned, but I would say that's where I got my origin of practice.
Right.
Because I was like, was pretty strict parents. I wasn't like outside rapping with the man them and that sort of thing. Like I just wasn't in that environment, and I was like in singing lessons and stuff like that. But like I kind of found that circle in a digital way once, computers were a thing and I was able to kind of like search for whatever made sense to me. I guess I stumbled upon that site. At the time that rap was most resonating with me. So like I got a lot of practice there.
Yeah, I think there's I think the reason that I liked it so much and brought it up, even though it's been in other interviews, is that like I hear a lot of artists who just straight up don't know where to start. Like they just honestly don't know where to start. And I say the same thing to a lot of them. It almost doesn't matter.
Like,
it doesn't really. The fact that you start.
Yeah.
Do you still have some of the recordings from it?
I wish. I'm sure if I searched, which, I don't even know if I want to, but I'm sure if I searched on the site, unless they like expunge their data, like I might be able to find my old channel and that sort of thing. Like it's quite possible. Sorry, I just gotta grab something. I might be able to find the records, but I don't actually have anything. But now that you said that, I think I might have to.
That would be pretty cool. So how did you deal with COVID? Because this is a really unique thing that we're going through.
Yeah, I think I'm still trying to deal with it. Still trying to find ways to adapt, create content from home. Just think ways that are innovative, that are in-house. Again, when we learn about, pawning off services to people and getting like different people who are experts at labeling art, especially visual art. Sometimes it's hard to know what to do in COVID when you're at home with like your phone. Like, so it's trying to find angles and ways to still connect with people, still trying to make music. I luckily have my upstairs studio and then my downstairs studio, which is a little bit more official, and I can get like the good quality vocals down there.
Got you.
And that allows me to record, all the songs that I've been putting out since late 2020. All that stuff was cut here in the house, and I think that
it was.
Yeah, I record
Very
my own
cool.
vocals. Since for a long time I've been recording my own vocals actually, and I'm super grateful, at the ability to do that, because through the pandemic, that's kind of been my saving grace, knowing what my next strategy would be. And I had a heavy tour year, like that was the plan, and I had a lot of shows booked.
Yeah.
So kind of redigging the plan, that was it was rough at first, mentally. But I think at least having music to work on, having the resources to know that the music was high quality, and if I liked it, could be released and is being released now, like all of that kind of like gave me something to still focus on, if that makes sense.
Honestly, at the talent level that you're at, you have a huge amount of knowledge that you're actually in a sense taking for granted. And there are some people who are starting who are talented lyrically and could have something going, but they don't know what kind of mic to hit, or they don't know that rockets are flat and they sound better in a room, or they don't know like the pad behind you. And you could just say, hey, this is what I use to make my song. And like as a release for the song, you could release an ad, but the ad doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be like, hey, buy my shit. It has to be like, yo, I want to give you a background to my song, that I use these tools and this is the vibe. And if you want to create this kind of a vibe, I highly recommend this tool. And this is my link on my website, which your website looks really well done, that you can go to and buy this, and it can support my music directly. And you're having enough numbers on your videos that if you made the quote unquote ad fun, like it doesn't have to be weird. It's like, yo, if you don't want one of these, turn the ad off. Like, just don't look at this. But if you're if you want to make sounds like I was making, I want to show you how I did it, and I want to show how you can do it. I think that would work. Like I have guitars. And so as I release more and more content, like I have some pretty cool guitars and I could source them to people. And I haven't tried this yet, but with enough numbers like you've got, I think you could really do this and it could turn into something.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on what the focal point is, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Are you selling the music, or are you selling the gear? Like, I guess it just depends on where you want to focus.
Maybe everything.
Yeah. If you could diversify, who you're communicating with. Yeah.
And I would certainly never presume to tell you how to do something. Like, obviously what you're doing works, and you have like a mean rap style that it sounds killer. Like it really does. It sounds good. How did you develop? Like, did it just happen? And you just kept rapping and it got better and better? Or like, did you like study lyrics? Did you like, how did you get to that proficiency?
I think it's just kind of practicing and recognizing there's a standard that I wanted to hit, like when I was rapping on that website back in the day, I wanted to be better than everybody else. And like, so I just internalized like what people's flow was, listening to older music as well, and just trying to like exercise the best elements of the rap styles that I liked. I like speed. I like quirkiness and cleverness, and I like good delivery. I like clean delivery, and like I like good pronunciation. I like recognizing things that matter to me from, I guess, a rapper, like what resonated with me in a record. And I just tried to get really good at like those things. And I think that that's kind of what you get when you listen to my rap, or my style of rap, is like the things that I've internalized as important for a rapper, I try to retain in my own delivery, right?
Yeah. And one of the things that, like, I don't know, the common complaints that I am and other people have of rap in general is like, I just can't understand this. I'm trying actually, but I can't hear the words. But for your music, it was incredibly easy to understand, even if it was fast. And I liked that. Like, I didn't have to pass your verses through 4 or 5 times to try and figure this out. I was like, oh man, she's clear and it's clean, and that's cool. Like, I dig that, I miss it. Like, I want to hear the lyrics and not have to struggle to just kind of, go off the beat and the tune. I want to know what this person's saying. And for you, it was clear.
Yeah, thank you. I pride myself on trying to be as clear as possible. And I think, like sometimes it's about the tone, and sometimes people's tone is just not as clear. And like, if they were really clear, it would take away from their tone. I get that. But yeah, I think my tone is largely built on clarity.
Yeah. How are you doing that in your basement?
I have I have a space. So I have a treated room. The room is foamed off to about my hips, so like over to the ceiling. So like it's the idea, I guess, of the product that you were talking about,
Yeah.
but it's like the actual room, which
Yeah.
is, I would say, like having that option is like when you have that option, take that option. But if you can't foam off your room
100%.
or glue the walls or something like that, a device like that is really helpful because you may not be able to do that. Depends if you're like recording in a condo or something, right? It just depends. I'm lucky enough to have a space that I was able to treat with
Super cool.
like wedges.
Yeah.
And I'm using a U87, so it's a high quality microphone. And at this point, I'm going directly into universal audio interface. I'm mixing with Yamaha HS5s and the HS8 sub. Very simple setup, like long and quaint, like you can just pick it up. But it's I feel it's enough. And I think the main thing when it comes to sound quality for vocals, as a rapper, singer, anybody, is the mic. That's going to be the most important thing to invest your money into, is the sound source. And I know that I've started with a $75. Well, I started with a $2 webcam microphone, if we're being honest. And moving up to like a C3 Behringer that was like $89 on eBay.
Yeah.
And I moved up and up and up and up. And the U87 is, I feel I've now stepped into like the professional realm of microphones.
Yes.
And it's important to me, like even from a clarity perspective, to utilize good gear. And I'm really big, like I worked in music retail for 4 years. I'm really big on not wasting money. I think that you only need what you need. But the state and rate that I'm going, I feel having a high quality microphone, like it paid for itself after 2 gigs. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think that I heard you say in one of your songs, or maybe even it was about like how investing's the new way to go. And that mindset of like buying stuff that's quality and will last is an investment choice. You're not spending money here, you're investing it in yourself, and it leads to a higher quality product. Like I mean this in every sense of the word. Like I actually find it inspiring because not a lot of people, like there's too many excuses people give to themselves. Like I'll start when I get this quality of microphone, but then that turns into this quality of mic and these speakers and this quality of mic and this kind of piano. But like people like me, my first guitar, oh my gosh, people like you, like starting on a $2 mic and then an $89 mic and just going and going. A lot of people, I think, don't take it seriously enough when they have a $2 mic.
Right. I agree. And I remember taking it, like, I remember like mixing like these ridiculous vocals, like actually trying to like process them using a compressor, using a limiter, learning to tune. I learned to tune webcam mic vocals. Yeah. And I remember when I wrapped my mind around that, I was like, I figured Autotune out. And I was like, not, I was gaining the skills without the resources as yet. And I'm big on that. Like you can get releasable quality for under $1,000. Like you really can. And I mean that thoroughly. Like I'm just at a point where I think you have to continue to invest. Once you make music of a certain caliber of quality, like once you've recorded in a however many $1,000 studio, recording at home, like, you know what I mean? So for me, investing in that mic was like, I put an album out with something of this quality. I put 2 albums out utilizing a microphone of this quality or higher. Like I can't go back. So like, even if I didn't invest in it, I would have rented it like I did on my 5th project. You know what I mean? So, I think that that's important. And I think everybody's different in that regard. Some people use, a $300 microphone. They're able to capture the tone that they need and it works for them. And they found the way to carve out those frequencies and mix that really well. And I think that as long as that works for them, that works for them. Like me, I want my vocals to cut no matter what. And I think like I really resonate with a certain microphone that can capture all the frequencies of my voice, especially because the sound matters. And to me, like the caliber of my voice it's an interestingly wide range. And the low end, you can lose a lot of that low end with the cheaper microphones, I find. Yes. And when I was using like mics in the $300 to $500 price range, I just felt like a lot of the depth was lost. Cause it's not the depth that like a man with a big chest maybe would have, but there is a depth to it. So I feel like it's like the higher quality microphones, not all of them can even catch it, but the ones that can, because I've done the trial and error, it adds that depth back where I feel if you remove that, my voice is like, it's a very interesting frequency and it can be very annoying if you're only hearing that frequency.
Wow.
So I'm cognizant, even like I know that my voice can get annoying without making sure you're capturing that full spectrum, right? So it's like really trying to understand like what works best with you.
Wow. So two things that I want to point out. One, your passion when you got into that was awesome. I like that. I strive to put myself around people who care about what they do, and that was cool. Like I just got like a little bit emotionally high watching you do that. One. And two, you just said it at the very end. You're aware, like that is a huge amount of self-awareness. So a lot of artists, I want to go hear them with you. A lot of artists who I talk to, they're like, oh, I just made a song. And I'm like, where can I hear it? And they're like, yeah, I haven't like released it yet. And it's this like this fear, right? Because they're going to get feedback and they know it, but they don't want to hear the feedback. So they never put it out and just sits on a thumb drive. But you're not only hearing it, you're hearing something that many artists would think of as negative, but then you're taking steps to address it and make your music better. So like,
right.
How do you get through the embarrassing part about realizing something's wrong?
It's tough, man. You just have to push. I think that the biggest thing with my voice is I think it's been a deeper struggle than just feeling like there's an annoyance in my tone. I think there was also the idea that like a woman's voice is supposed to be higher, right? Mm-hmm. And so like gender conformity says, well, then you should, like other female rappers, like maybe don't sound like you. So I feel like it was also the idea that I'm not like, it's not going to be appealing if I don't adjust my voice. So I feel there was also like a subconscious adjustment. And with that, you would get a higher tone, but you would also get this increase of energy. And then it also taps into like this battle rap world. So like there was a multitude of reasons why I think my voice, I sat there. And I started to realize, like, I think I first noticed it with my live show, that like watching it back, it was just very like in your ear. And I was like, this is annoying. Like I peeped it myself. And I had to like kind of ask people, because it wasn't like, I guess to people it wasn't intrinsically bad, but like once I was able to discern it, they were like, well, yeah, like I noticed that. And it was embarrassing to like have to address it. And also like maybe like hear it from people and realize, oh, like maybe I just didn't even take it in if people had said it before. But there was a point where I was like, oh, like something's not fully connecting. I don't know if it translates like I'm trying too hard, or if it translates like I'm shouting, or if it translates like I'm yelling. Like I couldn't tell. But I think where I was able to like just kind of like tap into like what made more sense was recognizing that the tone of my voice when it's in its lower register is actually more pleasing to listen to. Like I just had to come to that understanding. And I think once I was willing to experiment and do things with my voice that like no one would have like suggested, but I would have never done, because it's like, well, that's like what like a guy would sing at that key. Like why should I sing down there? Like it's not going to appeal because of my brand, blah, blah, blah. But I remember like just deciding to cover something and singing where it made sense, like where it sounded good. I didn't think about what people would think about it. Yeah. I just thought of like what it sounded like. And I tried to sing it up here and up here. And I was like, it sounds the best right down here, man. This is not American Idol. And I'm not trying to hit the high note for this song. It just doesn't work for this song. And the reaction that I got to it was like validation. It was like, oh, I love your voice on this song. Like Strangers on an ad promotion. And it was like, oh, like this is a strategy. I put something out that I didn't know if it would hit, and it did. Better than things I thought were better. That's cool. Because my voice just, you know what I mean? And I guess it's like learning yourself and recognizing that even though like for some people, they're not seeking necessarily like a female artist with a vocal tone that maybe doesn't match what their perception is. They may not be seeking that, but when they stumble into your music, you have no idea how well they might enjoy that. And it's I think that's what helps me overcome it. I like that. And also, you're kind of, let's call it fighting quote unquote uphill, in the sense that like people don't know it exists until they hear it. But once they hear it and they know it exists, the only where they know it exists is with you. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, this sounds awesome. Like Haviah Mighty's kicking my ass with this sound, but I haven't heard anyone else who's done this. So whenever they are looking for that in the future, the only one one to call. That's very cool.
And I dig that, and the amount of reflection that it has to go in. Like, look, listen, let's just take the blinders off. Like, I know vocalists care about their voice. I'm a guitarist. I care about how my fingers sound on the fretboard. Like, so, but then the more you care, kind of the harder it is to hear advice. And it seems like you're seeking it out, and that makes you the opposite. And that's pointing to success to me. Success leaves clues, and you're doing it, man. Congratulations. Seriously. I mean, it's rare to find people who do that, especially because artists are all, we look hard on the outside. We're all sensitive, right? And so like, if you don't get it, you don't know. And then you never try to do the low voice thing. And then you never crack into who you like, it's all part of it. So I like that you're down and you're digging it. You mentioned something there that I want to bring back. In your bio, it says that you boldly defy gendered expectations. Now, as a man, when I read that, at first on your bio, I thought the dudes were holding you down. But what you just said was the expectation of a female vocalist is to have this high register. So which gendered expectations are you breaking? And have you found that like someone's actually trying to hold you down, or you just found like it's a different vibe of what they're expecting? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I think that something being a different vibe than what somebody expects, if they're in a position of power, then they can inherently hold you down because they're just not going to like book you or hire you or whatever. So I think that can happen, and it does happen. But when I say that I'm defying gender expectations, I think that I'm more so focusing on things that I'm doing that are against the normality of like what a woman's role is in society. A woman's role is not to wear quote unquote boys clothes or baggy clothes or be a tomboy and rap, which is a hyper masculine industry, and just like certain pockets that I'm tapping into and doing well in. There is still an expectation that, oh, like this is odd because I wouldn't expect you to be good at that thing. I can't tell you how many shows I've done that like before people really knew who I was, it would always be like, wow, like you're really good for a female, you're a really good rapper, that's a girl. Like there would always be the like, it's really cool that you're good at what you do because I just didn't think that you would be good at that. And so
does that hinder you or help you? And I'm asking genuinely. I really am asking genuinely.
Yeah, I think that it does both, to be honest. I think that it's hindered me in ways, and I think that it has helped me in ways. The ways that it has helped me is that I found it's made it easier for me to understand how hard I have to work. Like I wouldn't necessarily know, and maybe I wouldn't have, grinded as hard as I have. But I think realizing that like you're not the normality or you're not the standard means that you have to do X, Y, Z more to prove to people that might not expect for you to do a thing that you're good at that thing. And I think that like, okay, for me, it's like if I perform at a show, I assume that people will expect the male artist to be the better artist. If it's a rap show, they're going to expect the female artist to be like, people are going to take a smoking break, right? So how hard I'm going to rehearse, how well I'm going to practice, how good I'm going to make that show is because I know that you have a lower expectation. So I'm going to blow your mind kind of idea.
Cool.
And that's helped me because I've found I've done that a lot of shows. I've been able to impress people because the caliber or standard that I hold for myself is higher than like even the guys, right? But in the ways that it hinders you is like where the discouragement still gets through, where like someone makes a comment that still has impact and makes you question your own value or makes you question if like you should be taking up that space. There's still an internal fight.
Like someone saying girls shouldn't do that. Like people say that shit to you.
Yeah, like, and I don't think necessarily specifically in that way, but like, it could just be the way that someone doesn't receive a message or the reason that they can't receive a message, or they'll comment on, that was good, but like what you're wearing, or like, there's just the things that are considered, I think when you're a woman are different.
Wow.
Like, and even when you're working with other artists, collaborating, or like, it's the things that will be questioned. There's just a lower expectation that you understand the full scope. Do you know what I mean? So that can happen in a performance aspect. That can happen in a business aspect where it's like, oh, well, like, is this like this version of the song? It's like, do you understand that I also understand that a song does need to be mixed and mastered? And I get the process. In fact, like I produce, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, or live shows where it's like,
so
I'm setting up the live show.
People are condescending.
Yeah. I get the sound engineers and they always say, don't cup the mic. And it's like, buddy, the XLR is not plugged in. Like, this is your sound frequency issue. Like, notch out the frequencies that are problematic because it's not me, right? And it's one of those things where, like, I know how to talk that lingo and stuff because of like studying different versions of the industry, and also like enjoying the back end, like enjoying the like troubleshooting. I worked in the rental department where people would be like, this DJ controller didn't work, and I'd have to figure out why. So it's like, it's funny being in these circumstances because it's like, I'm usually above the expectation in a lot of different musical rooms, whether it's the studio, the live show, like just usually because I've just had the lucky opportunity to like have been awarded so much information, going to school, music lessons, like just all that different stuff. Not everybody has that access,
right?
Those resources. And I did. And so with that, I try to kind of just shift the expectation. I have a female manager, I have a female DJ, and I can see, I remember when I went to London, it was like, oh, like that's your manager? Oh, and that's your DJ? And it was like, yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's a great thing because like when everything goes well and goes off without a hitch and we showed up on time, we executed, and you know, it's just like, yeah, like that expectation that like women don't do this, you start to break it down or whittle it down a little bit. And I think that that's the best way to rewrite what we think we know, right? Is just the more women we see in these fields that we don't expect to see in those fields, that holding you down, like it happens there. It definitely happens, but I think you'll get more women in those fields that can hire different people, that those biases won't be there. And I think that you'll start to have people that are just good at what they do.
Yeah.
More in those fields than like people that we expect to be good at what they're trying to do.
100%. And I think that's awesome. Like, what I resonate with the most, and I know this is a lot easier said than done, is that you seem to be responding with like a loving servitude. Like you're like, okay, I'm gonna I disagree with this, you know, let's call it this pushback or this holding the people down, but I'm gonna prove it wrong, not by fighting it with hatred, but by like lovingly doing what I love to do and just blowing people away. It's a really cool way to fight it back, and having the fully female team is pretty cool. As long as they're like good, right? Like, but they obviously are, or else people wouldn't be inviting you back.
Right. It's just like be the example, I guess. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to like have the conversation about like ignorance and like what things we can do directly to like, people do also have to shift their mindset. I think that that's a part of it. But like, as an artist, my goal is to focus on the music anyway. So it's like, my goal is always to like make people hear my songs and be like, undeniable. Like, I don't care who you are. I want you to hear it and say, it's undeniably good. Like, even if you don't like it or it's not your stilo, like you can't, my goal is to have people listen to the music and not say, oh, this is like bad. You know what I mean? I don't want anyone to ever say, because like my goal is to never put anything out that's like bad. Maybe it's not your cup of tea. That's fine. You know what I mean? But like nothing I do is bad. So like that's
not even close. Like I really mean it. Like specifically the song 13, like when I listened to it, I was caught in a grip. Like I see a lot of, it's about tyranny. It's about being pushed down. It's about like this, you know, this fight. And I'm not Black, obviously, but I do see that happening more and more of all, like there was a video in Quebec of the police, like tearing someone out of their house. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't know if I saw that one.
It was floating around. It was someone snitched on their neighbor for having more than enough people at like Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever. And then the police show up at their house to take you out because there's too many people in your house. That scares the living daylights out of me. So when I tell you, like, I shed a tear, like I really was involved in that song, and it's written like super well. So I just like am expressing appreciation for it. It's very well done. Where are you on social media? Where can people?
I'm everywhere, but mostly Instagram at Haviah Mighty.
At where?
At Haviah Mighty. Haviah. Yeah, just same spelling.
Mostly MIG. You haven't done the TikTok thing yet?
I'm actually on TikTok. Yeah.
You are.
I am. Like I'm not on it very actively, but if I ever get a very 15-second idea, I have a couple TikToks.
Fair enough. Because I know you're living on the edge, so to speak. Like you're putting the art out there in a way that I think it's aimed at maximum amount of people, which I'm fully behind. And I just was wondering if you took it to other places other than Insta as well. So are you on like Snapchat? You doing any stuff like that or not so much?
Snapchat, no, because it's so such a closed network. You know what I mean? Like you have to add people back. I have it, but I don't use it, and I don't feel like it would. I mean, maybe I feel like any app could be effective for networking, but like for me, like I remember the transition from Snapchat stories to Instagram stories when like Snapchat was the thing that was doing that first.
That's right.
And I would get like no real engagement with the same small network of people. And I saw the potential of stories on Instagram immediately.
Right.
And like just the access point, right? You can show your fans. And Snapchat just feels like a thing for you and your friends. So I don't really use that.
Fair enough.
But I do have TikTok. I do have Instagram. I do have Clubhouse. I'm trying to like I know that adapting is huge, and this year has taught me so much of that. And so as much as like you might not be like in love with every single app, I think it's important sometimes to at least be aware of what's out there. And if you can connect with the people that resonate with that app, they could be your fans too. Like you just have no idea. So like that's the idea with TikTok. It's like inherently like, yeah, my stats don't say that like the 14, 15, 16-year-olds are like generally my fans. That being said, I have no idea who I may connect with, and one of the songs might do really well on TikTok. So like making sure that my music is available on TikTok is something that me and my team wanted to make sure we did, and just sharing a couple of things to hopefully connect with more people. It's strategizing at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of strategy that it's not exactly like the sexiest interview or the most fun or like laughter filled. But I think that there's a lot of artists who are, you know, concerned hugely about the art, which is also important, but not at all about the business side of things, which is also important.
Absolutely. It's like, it's more important because you can, unfortunately, but like, the most important thing is not the music, and like it should be, and to the artist that it is, and then they like equally balance that business. That's a good place to be. But yeah, if you make a good song and you don't market it, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
If you make a bad song and you market it, people will still hear your shitty song. Like that's the funny thing, right? But that's why marketing is so important, because it's the medium with which people will even hear what you've done or see what you've done. And if you don't put resources into getting it out there, and you only like, you spend $50,000 on making this song and you don't even have it like promotion for an ad for people to like find it that you don't know, then only your friends and family are going to hear it. It's a balance. You really do have to make sure you're putting a lot into those other aspects of what you do. And it's tough for a musician because that's not where our skills lie and our expertise lies. But that is why a team is so essential, and why developing one is so helpful, and why most successful artists have a team. Most of them could not do it alone, you know?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And you're literally pulling things from our backlog. We have recurring themes, and networking is one of them. Like doing it yourself at first, but then getting people on your team as soon as you're ready to have people on your team, starting to hire it out, building the team, building the network, like connecting and making waves. And so many people have said what you said, like if you have a great song and no marketing, no one's going to hear your amazing song. You know, you got to give it a boost before it spreads itself. Right. And I love that you're thinking like that. I really do.
Yeah, of course.
Out of here. Thank you very much for your time. This is a really cool chat.
I appreciate it. Yes, yes, it was.
Absolutely. And if you end up spreading the word about some gear and making all that happen, just like the only thing I want is when it takes off, just be like, yo, by the way, check out Drivewire Radio, because that's where it came from. Okay. Thank you so much. Remember us when you're famous.
Sounds good.
Killing it. I really appreciate what you do. I mean that 100%. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that.
Of course. Fantastic.